Hey y'all, this is David, the Georgia photographer. Today is April 13th, 2020. Last night we was at home getting ready for bed, and the news had been basically telling us for quite some time that we was in a sort of a medium to high risk danger area due to tornado activity. We wanted to make sure that we was basically safe. So what we done was we done a little checking, we done a little bit of due diligence, but not a lot. And we come up with the point that we figured we'd be okay. I was awakened at about 11 p.m., a few minutes before 11, to the sound of some kind of weird noise I had never really heard before. It was a loud, wailing siren. It sounded like a federal siren on a fire truck, but it just didn't stop, and it was loud. And then I could hear voices in the distance. So I opened the front door to this driving rainstorm, and I can hear, muffled in the rain, a man's voice saying, "Take shelter now." Something to that effect. Seek shelter, take shelter. I could hear the word shelter very carefully. That's when I realized it was a tornado siren. So in a flurry of activity, I wake everybody up, because at this point, I opened the front door, it woke Teresa up. And I'm a little bit excited. You could almost say it was a panic. I personally don't feel like I panicked, but it could have been. It happened really fast. By the time she came into the living room, I had already almost got all of my clothes on, and I was yelling at them to get some clothes on because we have to take shelter as soon as possible. And you could hear it outside. It didn't have the freight train sound, but it was very, very weird sounding. So we rush, and our only real shelter at the property is the drain tile under the driveway. In the 2011 tornadoes, that's where we took shelter at. We went under the driveway there and just waited out the first wave of the storms that day in that shelter. There was 2 waves that day. That morning, when it came through, we got under the driveway. We got down there last night in this driving rain, to the point I was wearing my glasses, which I found to be a large mistake because the rain was blowing onto them and it would white them over and I couldn't see. So I wound up finally just taking them off, shoving them in my pocket. Once I did that, I could see okay. But we got down to the bridge, and there was a foot of water flowing through the tile that I was going to get in. Because after that event, we had a problem with the driveway washing out, and we had a contractor come in and repair the driveway. Well, when he did, he corrected the flow problems. At the time, there was water flowing through one pipe, but really not the other one because it was sitting higher. So he fixed that. When he fixed that, it divided the flow through both tubes. These tubes are 6 feet in diameter. Well, that water was a foot deep flowing through that tube, 5 feet wide, 4 feet wide, something like that, at a pretty good velocity. There was no way to safely get in there. So, by this point, by the time that I figured this out, the rain was already letting up. Everybody was panicked, so we kind of just took refuge beside the camper, right beside that tile, out of the main driving rain, watching the sky for movement. I could see the lightning was so prevalent that it was keeping the sky almost completely illuminated. And I was watching for flying debris and tree movement, maybe even funnels, if I could see them, because the rain, like I said, was starting to already let up, and it was just wind. And we stood there about 20-25 minutes waiting on this. And finally, the whole thing just kind of started dying off, and what it was that leading edge of that front had moved on past us. And we had been outside in the rain during that event. I felt like the dumbest person on earth. I completely let my family down at this point, the way I felt. So we hiked back up to the house, take this selfie, and put on some dry clothes and go to bed. I was awake until 2 a.m., basically when the rain stopped, before I went to sleep last night. This is some of the destruction that occurred because of that. I've come down here to Trenton. This is Highway 11. I'm down south of town. The actual tornado went about 3 or 4 miles south of our house and came off of the mountain. Poor gentleman, Philip Brown, has a tire/service center up on the mountain. It hit his building again. It completely leveled it in the 2011 tornadoes. And they said it pulled the doors off of it this time. So that poor guy just can't catch a break. But I'm down here at the Southern Lineman Training Center, and I'm gonna get you some photos and a little bit of footage of what I found that's right down through there. You can't really tell it because of the video camera, but you'll see. I'm about to show you. So the whole point of this is, even when you think you've prepared for basically everything, you're not prepared. You need to always be in a state of preparation for things out of your control. We kicked around the idea of a storm shelter and just kind of let it die. Things got better, you know, the storms didn't come, and so it wound up, we just never bought one. Well, it's back on the agenda, and we're seriously going to install it this time. Last night was too close. We got lucky. We had Providence on our side, and we were spared. We were out in the weather. It was like the worst possible scenario. Don't be like me. Do better. I wanted to share this with you so that maybe you will learn from my mistake. Wisdom is learning from others' mistake. Put in some preparations for this. Figure out where your nearest emergency shelter is that you can go to. Put back some supplies in case the power goes off for 10 hours. You know, do you have to have a CPAP to be able to sleep? You need a way of driving that thing while you sleep at night. It's things like that. People don't think about it. They just assume the lights are going to be on. Our power went off. You know, it was really sobering. So let's take a little bit of a walk down the road here and let you just kind of see what a small tornado, this wasn't even a big one, just a small tornado is capable of. We're pulling out of the parking lot of the ball field now, and we're heading back towards Trenton. Oops, I bumped my camera. I had it level. Come on, there we go. All right, got the camera facing out the window. I'm about to show you the flag poles for the Southern Lineman Training Center. This is kind of interesting. I might have just a slight break in the driving to get a photo of it too. Get my mirror out of the shot. There we go. That's the flag poles. They normally have like 6 countries' flags on there. Ooh. Oops. A lot of people cleaning up their mess, all the trees blown over. You can't tell it real well, but out in this little wood line between here and the interstate, which is about 50 yards to my right, there's a bunch of trees broke off about halfway up. And here we are passing through one that's blowed down across the road where they've sawed it out of the road, cleaned it up. I'm over here now on McKeag Road, which is the road on the other side of the interstate. I'm to the west of the road that I was on earlier. So I've basically crossed over the interstate. Now I'm driving back down beside all of the other stuff on the other side. You can kind of tell right there. See how things are broken. Once I get down to the end of McKeag, I'm gonna cross over and go back up Back Valley Road, which will be even further to the west. And it's just a lot of straight line wind damage is what it mostly looks like. Trees broken. People cleaning trees up out of their yards. Yeah, here's a spot. Okay. It just got sporty. I'm going to show you. I'm going to get out and get some photos of this. This is where the tornado apparently passed through, because I'm about to show you what I see. Yeah, I got my keys still in the truck. I'm not even going to bother getting them. The light pole blowed over into the road, yeah. Power line is broken off of the pole. Ah, great. Right here. This would be patently dangerous. They've probably cut the energy to it now. I don't know if you can see this or not, but this is the power. Here comes a car. Passing through the carnage. Now you can see the power line caught under the treetops. Get this pole leaned out into the road. Yeah, I knew it'd be bad over here. All the tops of the trees are broken off back in through there. What's sad is back in 2011, this is basically the same track that the other tornado took. It came right through this same area. All right, so I've shown you a bunch of destruction and stuff. So I've basically recorded this event so that it'll be remembered by future generations. I'm just trying to do what little I can to remember it, because people forget these things so easily. I mean, I did. All right, I'm here where Daniels Road meets Back Valley Road in Trenton, and they took a pretty good lick. We'll walk up here and get a shot of this power line laying in the road. This whole corner's been destroyed pretty strong. One thing about it, we're a hardy people. Everybody's out here, they're not sitting in their houses worrying about it or crying or whatever. I don't know if you can hear it or not. They're out here with chainsaws fixing it. Let me see what my audio looks like. They're out here fixing it. Yeah, there we go. It's working just fine. But yeah, they're not wasting no time. They've gotten right back to work. I'm gonna ride out to Philip Brown's garage and just see what it looks like. See if I can get a few photos of it and a piece of video footage maybe. And then I'm gonna wrap this thing up. It's been an interesting just day. Worked in the machine shop as normal, and then took a little time off in the afternoon. Decided maybe I need to document what happened last night, share it with you guys. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you can do that at any time. I'd really appreciate it if you did. Let me change gears. All right. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, I'd appreciate it if you did. If you like my video, I'd appreciate that thumbs up. But if I haven't told you to do it already, get your camera out and go take a picture with it and record the world around you. All right. I went by Philip's shop and it damaged the doors a little, but they pretty well straightened them up. So I come on down here to Michael Road, I think it is. Michael's Road, yeah. It's across from the old Sandmont retirement home, which appears to be actually closed down now. And this, the tornado literally came right through here. The roofing's come off of this house and it's peeled it off. It's peeled it off of that shed. It's took that camper apart. Literally, it's flipped it over on its side and destroyed it. And they've got a ladder on it where they got in it and apparently got some of their stuff out of it. That was a pretty nice camper too. It looked like this camper before it got flipped over, but it's on its side. The axles are on this side. Now, of course, they're back there sawing them trees off. There's a bunch of people over there working on something to get something cleared up.